again to our group. I'm so
Hey everyone, we're back again. I feel like I was just on here talking to you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kara Rickman, and I am the founder of Create Your Balance with Literacy. And I'm going to start 1 minute early to let some other people hop on here, and so we can get started because I have so much information I want to tell you guys today. I have been looking forward to this webinar for a long time, and I'm sure you guys have too. So I just wanted to tell you guys some housekeeping things before we get started. So I've told you that you guys this many times before, but I live out in the country, so if my face freezes and you can still hear me talking, it is okay because I live out in the country and my Wi-Fi is a little bit slow sometimes. So just stay on here with me, and everything's all good, and my face will come back on, I promise. So if you are commenting today during the webinar, then you may get a chance to win some free resources, which I'm very excited about. So if you will comment about what grade you teach in what state or what country you are from, that would be so helpful for me whenever I look through the comments, and I can kind of gauge, what grade everybody teaches, and that's always helpful for me. And also, I will be having a Q&A at the very end of the webinar. So during the webinar, if you have a question, please comment and ask the question. So after I have done all my spiel, then I'll go through all the comments later, and I will see if you guys have any questions, and I will try really hard to answer your question. And at that point, if you guys want to hop off, if you don't have any questions, you're welcome to hop off. That is totally fine. But if you had a question, you are welcome to stay on. So I'm gauging that this webinar will probably go to about 4:15, 4:30, maybe longer, depending on how many questions you guys have. I know that Literacy Centers is always a big... it can be challenging, excuse me, it can be challenging for teachers. It can be rewarding for teachers. It can be a lot of work setting everything up, getting everything ready for your students, but in the long run, it can be very rewarding as well. So let's get this party started, shall we? Okay. So again, my name is Kara Rickman, and I am a full-time teacher. I teach first grade in Boerne, Texas. Boerne is a small rural town, which is north of San Antonio, in the middle of the hill country. So I've been teaching for 21 years. I am ESL and GT certified. I have taught 5 years in third grade, and a lot of these tips and tricks that I will give you today for Literacy Centers I have used in third grade with my third graders, and it's worked really well. Typically, my webinars are for K1 and 2 and third. You can adapt to third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade as well. I have taught 16 years in first grade. Love first grade. That is my passion. I love how much developing and learning the students do from beginning to first grade to end of first grade. I am currently the team leader of my team. I've been there for 9 years as team leader. And I have given trainings, many trainings in my district for Writer's Workshop, Reader's Workshop, Guided Reading. And I'm very excited because this coming Friday in our Boerne U, I am giving a training for Math Workshop, which is really new to me. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be giving a training to our teachers for Math Workshop. So I'm very excited about that. I have been an ELA Vertical Team member. I have been a curriculum writer. I was Teacher of the Year in 2009. And I'm currently a Seesaw Ambassador, and I play the flute and the piano, and I sing professionally, and I give private lessons as well. So I'm a very busy girl, but I love what I do. This is my family. You can see in the picture, my husband is a band director at one of the middle schools here in Boerne. And my girls are, I have had the privilege of having both of my girls in first grade in my class. and it was the best years of my life. My oldest, Kennedy, is going into 6th grade, and my youngest, Presley, is going into 2nd grade. So many of you probably already know this, but I do have a TPT store, and inside my store, I have about 300 resources that helps with balanced literacy and with thematic units, math workshops, science investigations, readers workshop, writers workshop, guided reading, a lot of story companions. I know that a lot of you really like my story companions. So this group was intended to foster literature within your day and give ideas for literature, to include literature within all the subjects. And so I have lots of great literature for you guys to look at. And I also want you to connect with me, if you haven't yet, through my Pinterest or Instagram or YouTube channel and my blog. And if you have teacher friends that are not in our group, Facebook group, you are welcome to invite them. Please invite them into our group. And my newest love that I'm loving is my, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter. So if you click on the link down here, when we're finished, I'm going to upload this into our Facebook group. This webinar will be free. You can click on any of the links. It'll take you straight to the resources. And I'd love for you guys to subscribe to my newsletter. And in my newsletter, I will be giving out dollar deals, weekly dollar deals, BOGOs, my blog post, my YouTube channel, tips for the week, my lesson plans, and freebies from my store. So I'd love for you guys to subscribe to my newsletter. I'm sending out my second newsletter tonight at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. Okay, so you might want to hop on board with that. So this is exciting news. I'm giving a webinar series. I started my webinar series back in January, and a lot of you have been following me since day one, and that I so appreciate your support. And so every month I have given a webinar series for upcoming events or upcoming things that you can teach in the following month. So for example, I'm going to be giving my next webinar in August. Probably around August the 22nd or so. And in that new webinar, I'm going to be talking about all the exciting topics that you can teach for September. For example, you can teach with community helpers, good citizen, properties, apples, Johnny Appleseed, scientists, making 10, math strategies, making connections, tiny moment stories, and Laura Numeroff author study. So if you are interested in hopping onto my webinar series, you don't want to miss out, because I'm giving away free resources. I'm giving away TPT gift cards in every webinar that, and I'm giving them for free for you guys to watch and for you guys to download. So that's going to be my next webinar. So you might want to stay tuned for that in our Facebook group. All right. So today's training is all about literacy centers. That's why we're here. So I just gave you an intro, and so I'm going to be giving away some free resources to 3 lucky teachers today, and I have a raffle. In this jar are all the names of all of the people that have submitted questions in our group for a TPT $25 gift card to my shop. So I'm very excited about that. You guys are too, I'm sure. So I'm going to give you some teacher testimonials. My Classroom Reveal YouTube, I'm going to show you a YouTube link that you can watch my Classroom Reveal from 2 years ago if you're interested. And it has all the centers in the YouTube that I'm going to show you. Okay, so you can go back and watch it again and again and again if you want. Okay, I'm going to show you things that you need to mentally be ready for, getting ready for centers in your class. Tell you about that. I'm going to tell you my schedule that I had for last year, that worked for me, my materials and supplies. I'm going to show you how do I store my centers. I know that's a big problem sometimes. How do I store all of these centers? How do I have them readily available for me when I need to grab them really fast? Okay, when should I do my centers? And I know that a lot of you are departmentalized and you only teach ELAR. And so I'm going to share with you how to do that. How can I meet with my small group without being interrupted? That's a huge thing. We're going to go over that too, and my tips and tricks for that. Centers that I change out and centers that I don't change out. So I don't change out every single center, guys. Some of them I leave the same pretty much all year. The concepts might be a little bit different, but the strategies and the procedures that they do for the center always stays the same. And then I'm going to show you all my centers. I have about 24 centers that I've done in the past. Now, I don't do all of the centers at the same time. Some of them I pick and choose depending on the size of my classroom, depending on my furniture, depending on, my class. Some classes can't handle certain centers. Some can, okay? And I have come up with a center accountability checklist that I'm going to share with you guys. That's also in the resource that you could win today. How to set up your center folders, because each child in my class has a center folder that they are accountable for, and they keep all their center templates in. I have the black and white center templates, and I have color center templates. I'm going to share with you how to do both if you're interested. And then rewarding accountability. I'm going to share with you my new trick for that. And of course, at the end, if you want a certificate of attendance, you can message me on Facebook. Usually Messenger is the best way to get a hold of me. And then I will send you a certificate for today. So these are the 4 resources that I'm giving away for free today. Here's your choices. So if you're commenting during the webinar today, you could win my Farmhouse Literacy Center templates resource. And so this has ICANN cards. It has the icons for your center chart. It has pictures of all my centers, and it's all farmhouse themed. So if you are a farmhouse, decor person and you love farmhouse decor, then this is for you. I also have the generic one, which is the rainbow theme. That's all different colors of the rainbow. So it's basically the same resource, but it's just in different colors. Okay, so these top 2 ones I would highly recommend because they have everything in them that I'm going to be showing you. So these are also 50% off, and they're part of a BOGO. So if you buy one, you can get another resource from my store today for the same price or less. So these were $20 and now they're $10. So if you purchase one for $10, you can pick anything from my shop for $10 or less today, and I'll message it to you on Messenger for free. Okay, so it's part of the BOGO. The bottom 2 resources, which I'm so excited about. This is my new resource about my kitchen, my farmhouse kitchen. You probably have seen my video that I posted on Facebook last week about my farmhouse kitchen. I wasn't able to get in my classroom to set this up, so I staged it in my dining room at home. So just pretend that this is at school. But anyway, it still looks great, I think. So this is my new Farmhouse Kitchen Center. I'm going to share with you how to set one up and how to do that. And then my Farmhouse Writing Center with all my ICANN cards that you can post on your bulletin board, the writing templates, and how to introduce your writing center. So you can win any of these 4 topics today, any of these 4 resources if you are interested, okay? So just keep those in mind as we're going along here. See, these are some teacher testimonials that have commented after they had purchased the resources for my centers. So Miss Merkel says, this was exactly what I needed for a more efficient classroom. And then Hillary says, I cannot wait to use these resources and set up my writing center for my first graders this school year. I have everything printed and ready to go. Thanks for offering such a great visual resource. So those are some testimonials that I always like to give out for you guys. This is the YouTube that I'm going to share with you after I upload this into the Facebook group. You can click on the picture right here. It'll take you straight to my YouTube of my classroom reveal, and it shows you all of my centers that I'm going to share with you today live in the video. Okay, so we're going to start with our first winner today. So I'm going to go through the comments and see if anybody Ooh, there's a lot of comments on here today. Oh, that's awesome. All right, how about Gail Daniels? Gail Daniels, you are my first winner. Congratulations, Gail. And you said you were interested in the rainbow resource. So, yeah, it will go great with your star theme. Okay, so, Gail, I will message it to you after our webinar is over. Congratulations, Gail. All right, so remember the jar that I showed you for all of the comments that you got, the questions that you guys submitted into my Facebook group. I love it when you guys submit questions. I think it's awesome because then everybody is so helpful and so supportive. So everybody that submitted a question, I put your name in the jar, and I promise it's not rigged. Okay, so I'm pulling out our first name for our first TPT $25 gift card winner. Amber Owens Gunn. Amber Owens Gunn. All right, Amber Owens is my first winner of my TPT gift card. So congrats, Amber. And then I will send that to you. You're going to send me your email after the webinar is over. So Amber Owens Gunn. All right, so this is getting mentally ready for centers. If you have never had literacy centers in your classroom, I'm just going to assume that none of you guys have had centers before. So I know you probably have. But there might be some teachers, some new teachers in our group that have never done this. So I am just being humble, and I'm going to go back from scratch, and I'm going to go back from the beginning, because I feel like if I start in the middle, we're going to miss some roots of the problem. If you're having trouble launching your literacy centers, if you're having trouble organizing them or getting them going and having the kids being accountable, I'm going to start from the bottom, okay? And I'm going to work my way up. So I hope you guys just bear with me here. If you've done this before and you're a pro, that is awesome, okay? So you guys can also comment to each other and answer questions for each other, okay? That would be helpful as well, because like I said, I won't be looking at the comments until the very end if you have any questions. All right, so getting mentally prepared. You have to know, which centers do I want in my room? Okay, there's tons to choose from. How many kids do I want at each center at a time? That's huge, okay? Depending on your class size, too. What activities do I want to have at each center? Yeah, that's important. What furniture do I need? Okay, some of us have tons of furniture in our rooms. Some of us have huge rooms. Some of us have small, tiny rooms with barely any furniture, okay? So you kind of have to have a mental, plan for that. How many centers do I want to manage? How many centers do I want to manage? Well, that is entirely up to you and your teaching style and how much you can tolerate, okay? Do I want the kids to sit on the floor? Do I want the kids to sit at a table or a desk? Well, some centers can lead them to sitting on the floor. Some centers have to have a table or a desk, okay? How many minutes does my schedule allow for me to have center time? Okay, so this is a very important slide. So if you, later on when you download this resource, download the webinar, I would go back to this slide and kind of think about and write some notes on here, okay? So this was my schedule from last year. My last year's schedule allowed me to have centers during the red components. So if you look right here, from 8:40 to 9 o'clock, I had my first guided reading group. During guided reading, that's when I had my center time. Okay, my kids were doing seat work first, and then they could go to their centers as long as their seat work was finished. Okay, and then I had focused instruction from 9 to 9:30, and that was 30 minutes. So when my tier 2 kids and my tier 3 kids left the room to go to their special classes, for example, the reading class, speech class, GT class, math class, math intervention, or dyslexia, okay? When those kids were gone, that's also when I continued doing my centers, because I feel like the kids left in the room still need to have something to be working on that they know how to do, okay? So you're not teaching anything new when your tier 2 and tier 3 kids are leaving. You're not teaching anything new. You're continuing spiral reviewing what they already know, okay? Now, if I know some teachers are like, well, I don't want my tier 2 and tier 3 kids to miss out on centers. Well, you can still have your center time when they get back, if your schedule allows it. You could either have center time before they leave or after they leave, like at the tail end or the beginning of it, so they can still have a little bit of time. And plus, my kids didn't have their groups every single day. Their special groups every single day. Sometimes the teacher was absent. Sometimes they had to do testing. So my kids did not get to go with them every single day, maybe like 4 times a week. So on Fridays, my tier 2 and tier 3 kids also got to enjoy their center time. So there's a way to work it out if you kind of think about it a little bit. And I know everyone's schedule is different. But I will tell you that my guided reading time was also my center time at the same time. So I'm going to share with you how I did that. Here's some materials and supplies that you need for centers. Okay, I use center folders. Now, you don't have to use center folders, okay? I just like center folders because they carry them around with them at centers to help them be more accountable for their work. And I'll share with you what I do for that, okay? You need your center templates if you use pages for them to write on so they can be accountable. That's great. You can use those, and those are also in the resource. You need some kind of signs like center icons. You need small icons for your pocket chart or your chart that you have for the center rotations because they have to know where to go. You don't want just the kids just running around the room free-for-all. I know some teachers like to do free-for-all centers. And I've done that too, but I don't do that until the very, very end of the year when they're completely self-managed. Okay, and they know exactly what I expect of them. But I have, I'll show you my center chart. So they know exactly where to go, what week to go to. It's very structured. Okay. I match the center icon chart icons with the big charts, the big icons that go on the centers themselves. So the pictures match together. So they know when they're walking around the room, they don't know where the cooking center is, the kitchen center. They can find the picture that matches the icon on their chart. So it has to match together. So in the resource, there's small pictures and there's larger pictures for you guys. Okay, so you need a pocket chart or some kind of rotation chart. You might want to use flexible seating. For flexible seating, you could use lap desks. You could use the bean bags, the scoop chairs. You can use cushions. You can use rugs. If you have a small classroom and you don't have enough space for all this furniture, all you need to do is have a shelf with tubs. The kids go to the shelf, they grab the tub. Let's say they want to do the math tub. They grab the math tub and they take it to their desk or they take it to an area in the classroom. Those can still be your centers inside those tubs. You don't have to have furniture for every single center, okay? So that's an easier way that you can do it, less prep for you if you don't have enough space. You can use activities and games. You can use a rainbow cart. I'll show you my rainbow cart where I store all of my math games for my math stations, my math centers. And then you can use stackable drawers. If you want to use those Sterilite drawers from Walmart that have the open drawers that you open up, you can get some of those and put your center games in there to organize them. Or you can use carts or whatever you want for your centers. So you have to think about the size of your classroom. You have to think about how much storage do I have? How much do I want to have out at the center at the same time? How much do I want to keep away? And how much do I want to introduce at a time? So it's really up to your teaching style. For my math stations, these are what I store my math stations in. So for like when I do guided math, let me tell you, my guided math stations are different than my math center. Okay? My math center is with my literacy centers. My math stations are during my guided math workshop time, okay? So you can have one of these rainbow carts, and I just labeled them with different skills and skills for the math. Graphing, addition, subtraction, place value, 100s chart, fractions, geometry, money, measuring, and time. You can do this with anything. You can do it with word work. If you want to use this for word work, you can have short A, long A, short E, long E. Like you can have all your activities in this cart, and then you can just tell the kids, okay, this week you're just going to use the orange basket or the red basket, okay? And you tell them which one to pull out. So these are some of the kids that I had before in my previous classes where they would sit on the floor and they would do their math stations. And so if you wanted to have tubs that they can pull off the shelf, if you don't have the furniture that you need to have the center set up real extravagant, that's okay. You can just have tubs. And so this is what I did. I just had a tub. I had all different colors. I had a rotation. And of course, this was math time. So they knew exactly which number tub. The tubs were numbered, and they knew which tub to get. They knew where to sit on the floor. They had assigned spots, and they would sit knee to knee, and they would play their game. Okay? So that's one option that you can do if you don't have enough space. What should I do? When should I do centers? Okay, well, whatever time works for you and your team and your teaching style. You probably need to get with your team, and y'all are going to decide when you're going to do your centers, what is best for your schedule. Okay, every schedule is different, Everybody has a different amount of time for guided reading, strategy groups, whatever you call them. And so you might want to check with your team to see what they're doing too. And you might want to collaborate with your team as much as possible on this because, you know, everybody has such great ideas. So you can do your stations or centers during your intervention time. Like I said, when your tier 2 and tier 3 kids leave to go to their special classes, you can still do your centers. Don't be afraid to do your centers during that time, guys. That's exactly what I do. Because if you stop everything and you're not using that time wisely, you can still be pulling groups during that time. Your kids that are left in the classroom, you can still be pulling your groups to do strategy groups, to do your decodable readers or your guided reading or whatever it is, your literature circle, whatever it is that you are doing. The other kids can still do their centers. That's a spiral review, you know, of whatever they're learning. Don't be afraid to do that. You can still do that. As long as you're not teaching anything new when your tier 2 and tier 3 kids leave for their special classes, then you're okay. I do my centers during guided reading time, or I've also done it at the very end of the day. So I've done it after I'm through teaching for the day and I have extra time. If your schedule allows, like if you have a buffer time at the end of the day or any time of the day that you have a buffer time, you can always do your centers during that time as well. How many centers should I have? Whatever works for you and how much classroom space you have. Like I said before, you have to know how much furniture you have, you know, how much space that are going to allow, how many centers you're going to want to have. Okay, I'll show you in just a minute what the must-do centers, in my opinion, are. How much time do you have to set them up? Are you wanting to change out your centers every week? Are you wanting to change out your centers every month? Okay, some of my centers I change out weekly, not very many of them. Some of my centers I change out monthly. Some of my centers I don't change at all. They stay the same. Okay, and I don't stress out over it. You know, I try to change those monthly ones for a month. But if I forget, you know, a week's time goes by and that center I forget to change it out, it's okay. Of course, the kids will remind you too. They always notice those things, right? Are you willing to take the time to introduce your centers very slowly? If you're willing to take the time, the extra effort that you need to introduce your centers one by one, day by day. Okay, that's exactly what I do in the beginning. If you don't have enough space, you can have centers in tubs or baskets, like I said, and have your students carry them to a carpet area. They carry them to their desk or whatever you want them to do. Okay, how can I still do guided reading or my strategy groups without being interrupted? And if you've watched my webinars before, you know about my peer facilitator. My peer facilitator is my star student. Okay, so what happens is my star student is the helper for the week. Okay, they get to pick these hats. And I got these hats from, I believe, Hobby Lobby. And I got those foam letters, and I hot glued the foam letters on the hat. I wouldn't recommend just sticking them on there because they fall off. I would glue them on the hat. And so they get to pick out their hat they get to wear. So whenever I am doing my small group guided reading, the star student gets to walk around and answer questions. So like I said, my students were doing the seat work. They're doing their schema notebook during seat work time. And I start pulling their groups. When they're finished with their seat work, they raise their hand. The peer facilitator comes to their desk. You can see the little boy in the picture. He is helping another little boy with his unfinished work. They have a blue folder that they keep all of their unfinished work in. The star student, I train them to open the folder and to look to see what they have to finish before they go to centers. In my classroom, I'm very picky about them finishing their work before they go to their centers. Okay, they cannot go to their centers unless they have everything completed. Okay, any makeup work that's not done, they have to take the time to finish it right then. Okay, so the star student's job is to monitor that. And they do a great job. They do a really great job. And it's so cute to hear them go to each other and say, "Can I check your blue folder, please? Oh, I noticed that you have this handwriting page that you haven't finished. You need to work on this first. Thank you. And they just tell it like it is, and they're so responsible. So I start with a really responsible student in my classes. So when school starts on the first day, you want to be on the lookout for somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who's very respectful, somebody that that can be a good role model for the first STAR student, okay? And so they walk around and answer questions so that I can do my guided reading group. And then the STAR student will say, okay, you're finished with everything. Now you can go to your centers, okay? So that's what I do in my room, and it works really well, okay? These are the centers that I have in my room or I have had in the past. And I haven't used all of these at the same time. I kind of like switch them out from year to year. But these are the centers that I've had that work. Writing, author study, word wall, games, construction or STEM, geography, felt board, finger puppets, math, technology, word work, theme, science, museum, library, research, read the room, write the room, it's the same thing, big books, poetry, listening, drama, art, and kitchen. Okay? So like I said, I don't have all of those out at the same time. And I kind of switch out, from year to year. And you can pick the centers that work well for you. I do not change all of my centers. I only change a handful of them every month to go with the holiday or theme. I'm a holiday girl. I'm a thematic girl. So I like to make sure that all my centers coordinate with the month or the holiday. Okay, so for example, in my library, I might put out, if it's October, I'll put out Halloween books for them to listen to. In the listening center, I may have them listen to a thematic book that's about community helpers or something like that. It has to go along with the theme that we're doing or the holiday or the month, okay? So the centers that I change every month are theme, listening, author study, writing, poetry, word work, kitchen, and math. Those are the ones that I change, either every month or every week. The centers that I do not change are library, read and write the room, art, technology, big books, word wall, construction, finger puppets, drama, geography, and science. Those are the same all year long, okay? But the activities that are in those centers, there's enough for them to do in those centers that will last them the whole year, okay? Now, it's up to you if you want to put everything out at one time or if you want to slowly introduce them as the year goes on. I just front load everything and I teach them how to do everything in the center at the same time on one day so that they all see it all at the same time. And I think it's harder for me, from my teaching style, it's harder for me to add more things for every single center. Now, I will do it for some, like my writing center. I will introduce more things as we go. But if I front load all of them, all the activities at the same time at the beginning, then it's easier for me. But again, it depends on your teaching style, okay? All right, so the 4 things that my students need when they go to centers. On the second day of school, we start talking about centers. The second day of school. I tell them, you need a pencil. You need a clipboard. You need your center folder, and you need a whisper voice. And we even practice going, pss, 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 pss. We practice whispering over and over and over again. I know a lot of teachers like to use those light bulbs, the buttons that have the voice levels. If you want to have one of those voice level things in your classroom, go for it, okay? But my students know that they have to whisper. And I tell them, 1 strike and you're out. Okay, this is a privilege to be at centers. Like I said, I'm very picky. So if they're silly, if they're talking above a whisper voice, they have to go put their head down. So they take their center page that they're working on and they go sit at their desk and they cannot be at that center anymore that day. Doing that a couple of times will get them to understand that you mean business and your expectations are very high because everybody in the class has a job to do. Okay, you might be doing small group guided reading. You have other kids that are finishing their unfinished work folder or their seat work or their schema notebook. And then you have other kids that are at their centers. Okay, they have to have those 4 things. And we go over and over and over those expectations for about 25 days. Because every day I will introduce a new center. Okay, so here's what we do. I tell them you have to have a whisper voice. Now I know this is kind of small, but I'm going to read it to you guys so you can listen to it. Carry your 3 materials to your center. You need your clipboard, your pencil, and your center folder. Check the center chart for your magic number to see which centers you are going to in your row. I'm going to show you my center chart in just a minute. Only one student can be in a center at a time. If there's already one student there, they choose a different center in their row. I have enough centers in my room where I can allow 1 student per center, okay, depending on your class size. The reason why I have 1 student per center is because it really calms down the conversations that could happen. It eliminates the silliness. It eliminates the behavior problems that you might have. So having 1 student at a center is a dream. Now, if you want to have 2 or 3, that's fine, but you really need to be consistent with your behavior expectations and rules. So like I said, 1 strike and you're out. If you're talking, if you're being silly, you got to go put your head down. And after that one time that they put their head down, they don't like it. Okay? And they'll be more likely to do the right thing the next time. Always read your ICANN cards at the center. That tells you what to do. I have cards that are on a ring, and they flip the ring and they read the directions. And so when I'm introducing that center every day, I read the ICANN cards. I read it and they copy what I'm reading. They read it with me. So they know the expectations of that center. They know what to do at that center. You must complete a center page before moving on to a new center. You cannot just play and move on. You have to complete your center template before you move on to the new center. Okay, I'm going to share with you my center templates in a little bit. Once you have completed your center page, you may go back to your desk and color it. And then it goes in their folder. Okay, and I'll share with you my accountability system in a little bit. Always clean up your center. Oh, this is huge. Always clean up your center before moving on to a new center. Guys, I cannot tell you, it's one of my pet peeves. I'm so picky about my classroom. I have to have it really organized and clean. And the kids at the beginning of the year, some of them understand that depending on how they clean their room at home. But some of them have no clue how to clean up, okay? So you have to model how to clean up your center. Okay, this goes back into the baggie. You have to get all the air out of the baggie. You have to close the baggie, put the baggie back in the drawer. You're not going to leave the baggie on the floor. And I tell them, you know what? When you go to a restaurant and you go to a table, do you want to eat on a dirty table that has napkins and crumbs and forks and knives and water spilled all over the table? Do you want to eat on a table like that? No! You want to eat on a clean table. So if you use that analogy, it kind of helps them understand, oh yeah, I got to clean up my center because the next person that comes to my center, they want to have a clean center. I want to have a clean center when I go to a new center. So they kind of understand that as the year goes on, but you're going to have to do a lot of modeling and a lot of training for that, okay? And I do reward them if they have the cleanest center. I do a countdown at the very end, and I'll say, okay, 1 minute warning, and they start cleaning up their center, and then they all have to come back to their desk, and then I'll walk around the room, and I'm going to pick the best center that is the nicest, cleanest, organized center of all, and they get bonus bucks. And they love those bonus bucks. So they keep all their center pages in their center folder. Okay, I'm going to read this to you guys really quickly. This is my lesson plan that's in the resource. If you win the resource today, if you buy the resource, remember it's a BOGO, okay? Then you can read this lesson plan. So it says, starting the first week of school, I start introducing my centers 1 at a time. So every day is a new center. I take the time and spend 1 day for each center, so it takes me about 25 days to introduce all the centers. I have the students get their center folder, their clipboard, and their pencil. They sit around the specific center. We all sit together in front of that center. so they know where it is. I show them where it is on the rotation board and what the center is called. I hand out the center page for that center, and we complete it together as a class. This helps later on when the students are at the same center by themselves. They can go back and look at their page that we did together. This eliminates questions later on too. My students have to have a whisper voice in their centers because other students may still be at their desk doing seat work. In my class, the students cannot go to centers unless all their work is finished. I tell my students to keep all their pages in their center folder, and at the end of the month, I collect their pages and reward them with bonus bucks. Their bonus bucks are for the treasure box. So if they have 20 pages finished in their center folder at the end of the month, they get 20 bonus bucks. It's awesome. My students love their centers, and they work really hard to get there at the end of their work time. I hope this packet helps you learn to have your centers engaging and fun. So that's just my lesson plan that you will see in Fed the Resource. Here are my center icons. So in the Farmhouse resource, you have all of these small icons and large icons. So what I did was I laminated them and I put them on my pocket chart. And then the big ones, I laminated them and I stick them on the wall next to the center. So they're next to each other. Like I said, you want to have the pictures match together. You don't want to have different pictures because then you're going to have kids coming up to you. Ms. Rickman, I don't know where this center is. Where's the center? Okay, and that's the STAR student's job, is the peer facilitator has to also show them where the centers are if they forget. So when I had a rainbow room, I had a rainbow theme a couple years ago before I did my farmhouse. This was my rainbow center chart. So this was the other resource that you could win. That's the rainbow theme. So what I did was I have cards on the side that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of these numbers are the kids' magic numbers. Okay. So every week they can choose between 4 or 5 centers that are in their row. So if you are 1, 2, 3, 4, you can choose between these top 4 centers for the whole week. Okay, and it's kind of like a free-for-all, but with exceptions. So if they go to the first one, let's say they go to word work the first day, they have to complete this center activity page, put it in their folder before they go to the next center. And I urge them to try to do 1 center every day, but they can only stay in their row. So it kind of gives them free choice, but with exceptions. Okay. I know that a lot of you like to have free choice for your students, and that's great. And I start off this way because then later on when you say, let's say it's April or May, and you say, okay guys, you can choose whichever center in the classroom you want to go to. If there's nobody there, go for it. Then they're trained enough to know your expectations and your procedures. But this is kind of like a choice board, but still under my conditions. Okay? And if you're 5, 6, 7, 8, then you choose between these 4 in your row, and then so on and so on. And so every Friday after school, what I will do is I will switch the cards. Okay? I move the cards down, so then the next week they have a new row to go to. Now there is a YouTube video that you can click on this picture and you can watch later on, and I go through each icon in the YouTube video, and I show you what each icon means, and I explain a little bit more. So you can watch this YouTube later if you want to, okay? Now this was my farmhouse one. It's the same rotation board, it's just a farmhouse theme, okay? So I added a little bit more centers on this one. This one had a little bit more. But again, if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, you have those 5 centers. If you're 5, 6, 7, 8, you have those 5 centers. And I tell them too that they cannot go to the same center twice in a week. They have to try to go to all the centers in the row. Here's why. Last year, I had a couple boys, and you know, sometimes they're a little bit sneaky. They like to go to only certain centers in the room. They liked science. They loved science. They wanted to do science every single day. So when I was at my guided reading table, they would sneak over to science. So I caught wind of this one day, and I was like, were you guys at this center last week? And why are you over here again? Oh, no, we weren't at the center last week. And I looked, so we walked over and looked at their rotation chart. And sure enough, they were not at that center. And so I try to urge them to go to a different center every time. So they had to go put their head down. And I told them, okay, the rest of the week, you cannot do centers. So you're going to either read in your browsing box, you're going to write in your diary, you're going to work in your math toolbox. Those are your choices. Okay? You may not go to your centers anymore this week because you lost your privilege. So you kind of have to set your expectations. Okay? They have to know the rules. They have to know what you want them to do. These are the I Can cards that I told you about. I have them on a ring, and you can see right here in the picture. I put these cards on a ring, and they're also in the resource. You cut them apart. They're in, there's 4 cards on a page. You just cut them apart, laminate them, put them on a ring, and you attach them to the center. If you want to use a clipboard to put your center templates on, like I have right here on the Art Center, I have this clipboard with all the templates, and every center has a template. Every center has a clipboard. And I put the cards and I clip them onto the center pages. So when they go to the center, they read the I Can cards first. That's the first thing they do. And we practice that for 25 days. We practice reading those I Can cards. So they know it's like second nature. Okay? And that eliminates a lot of questions. A lot of like, Miss Rickman, I don't know what to do. Okay? And so I highly recommend you having some kind of I Can system. Okay? I know some teachers have a must-do, may-do system in your room, and that's perfectly fine. I don't do it that way. That's why I have the I Can cards. But these I Can cards are in both resources, the Farmhouse and the Rainbow. These are, in my opinion, these are the must-do centers for literacy. You need to have a library. Okay? Hey guys, everybody has a library. Why not make it a center? That's easy. If you're going to introduce your library at the beginning of the year, hey, that's an easy center right there. Okay? Your word work center, you need to have some kind of a word work center. I have a word work center and a word wall center. Okay? So word work is important. Those kiddos have got to practice their phonics, their fluency, their spelling. Okay? Listening center, I believe, is important. They need to be able to listen to other people read. They need to be able to comprehend what they're listening to and respond. Okay? Writing, I think writing is very important. Now, this is different than Writer's Workshop. It's not the same. My writing center is completely different than Writer's Workshop. It's not in place of Writer's Workshop at all. Okay? Because Writer's Workshop is a complete different framework of a different time of day. So writing, they're practicing writing a how-to story, or they're practicing writing a poem, or they're practicing making a list, or they're practicing a sticker story or a shape book, okay? Practicing their skills, their writing skills, but in a different area of the room. Poetry, I believe, is important too, because within poetry, you can also have practice fluency. I know some of you like to have a fluency center. So what better way to practice your fluency than read poems? Okay, because poems are rhythmic, they can be thematic, they can be rhymes, they can be songs, they can be chants, and that's a great way for the students to practice their fluency. So these 5 centers, in my opinion, and I'm not the end-all be-all, but in my opinion, these are the must-dos that you must have. So if you are new to centers, you haven't had any centers at all, I would really start with these. So these are introducing my centers one day at a time. I would start with the easiest centers first, and then gradually get to the more complicated ones as you go, but the easier ones will save your sanity. I promise. Okay? Like I said, if you want to start with library, everybody has a library. Okay? Start with your library as your first center that you're going to introduce, because you already know that your kids are going to need their books to read. Okay? Why not have your library as a center where they can go and read and they can respond, beginning, middle, and end. Easy. Okay, there's an instant center right there. This is my construction center, and I also use it as my STEM center. Now, if you're not familiar with what STEM means, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. So you could have tubs of Lincoln Logs, you could have tubs of popsicle sticks, toothpicks, cotton balls, googly eyes, Legos, blocks, snap cubes. You can have different tubs. I'm seeing little rainbow drawers of all different kinds of STEM items that you can have. But I just have one tub of STEM in the bottom there. I have some blocks that they can build a town with that has different materials in it for them to build. But I also have this construction center that they can use. So they sit on the floor. You don't have to have anything fancy. They can sit on the floor at a center, okay? If you don't have fancy lap desks or mats or cushions or bean bags, it's okay. They can sit on the floor. Kids love sitting on the floor. So they respond. They're writing about what they built that day on their template. And if you notice in the picture down here, she's got her ICANN cards here on the floor. And she's looking at her ICANN cards and she's responding to her building that she made. She made a town right here, building a skyscraper. So she's responding to what she made, what she built. So a construction center, STEM center is really fun. That's one of the easiest things that you can introduce because all kids love to build things. Okay. I know that a lot of you guys are going away from word wall this year and going to a sound wall, but I'm going to keep my word wall and I'm going to add a sound wall. So I'm going to have both because I really feel like the kids still need a word wall so they can reference words when they're doing writing or they're doing responses, okay? So I'm still going to have high frequency words on my word wall, and my word wall is interactive, and so my word wall is also a center. So what they do is they have a template that they go to the word wall, and they practice writing their words in alphabetical order. They're picking 5 words and they take the words off of my word wall. So my word wall has clips on it. So we add 5 words per week. And so then they can take off 5 words, their 5 favorite words, and they can put them in alphabetical order and they can write them on their center template. And you can tell in the picture right here because this word is upside down. And that happens. So it's interactive, it's child-friendly, it's lower to their level so they can reach the words. I know some people have their word wall really high up in the classroom and they can't see them. You have to have your word wall close down to the ground so, so they can interact with the words and they can find the words easier. I also have a word wall folder that they can use when we do our high-frequency words when we add them every week, but that's different than what they do at their center. So if you have a word wall, that's an instant center right there, okay? Here's my library. Like I said, instant center. Everybody's going to have a library, and it's so easy to incorporate your library as a center. You could have a shelf of holiday books. You can have a shelf of author books, favorite author books. I organize my library 2 ways. I organize them by level, so I have them A through O, Fountains and Pinnell levels, because my kiddos are reading level books during Reader's Workshop. And I know that a lot of teachers are going away from that, and that is perfectly fine. But in my opinion, I think that they still need to be reading a just right book. And so within the tubs, they are choosing a book of their choice that is on their level. And I test them once a month to move up their levels. And I don't make a big deal about it. And I don't really, we don't tell the class what level they're on or anything like that. It's for my purposes because then I get to do progress monitoring with them a little bit easier for RTI purposes. So that's why I still do leveled readers in my room. And the other side of the library is my genres. So you could organize your library with genres, with fiction, nonfiction, informational, science fiction, historical fiction, and then have author tubs. I have a Jan Brett author tub, Eric Carle, Robert Munch, Laura Numeroff, Kevin Hinks, all of those author studies that I do. So what I do is I take the tub off of the shelf. Whenever it's time for me to do an author study, I just take the tub off and I put it next to my chair, my read aloud chair, and I have my instant author study right there. So you can organize your library however you want to, but I feel like if you have a nicely organized library and you have a system so the kids know where to put the books back, when they get the book out of the tub, they know exactly where to put the books back. So during center time, they're only reading the genre tubs. For Reader's Workshop time, they're picking out of the leveled stories. And then the bookshelf I have right here in the front, those are my holiday books. And so on the other side, you can't really tell, but on the other side I have holiday books, for example, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter. I change the theme out according to what holiday or month it is. This is my calendar. Did you know that you could have your calendar as a center? Instant center right there. So you are going to be introducing your calendar anyway during the school year at the beginning of the year. Why not make it a center? It's so easy. So they have a template that they have to write. Now you could do this two different ways. You could have a calendar that they fill in the numbers and they actually make their own calendar according to what it is on the wall. Or you can have them respond to how much money did we make today on the calendar? What is the total money? What is the tally marks? What is the weather today? Tell the time that's on the calendar. Write the date that's on the calendar. What was yesterday? What it will be tomorrow? So all of that is in the resource, all those templates. So you can choose between which one you like. But why not use what you already have in your room to make your centers? Easy. It's so simple, and the kids already know how to do it because you do it every single day. At least I do for my calendar. Poetry is another great center that you could do, and I change this one out weekly. Okay. There's also a video that you can click on the picture right here that takes you to my YouTube video of how I set up my poetry center. So I did give a webinar about a couple years ago in the Facebook group about focus poetry and how you can use focus poetry as shared reading. So I decided to combine my shared reading focus poetry with my poetry center, and I made it together. Okay, so when the kids go to the poetry center, they can practice reading the poem that's on the wall, and the poem has to do with, again, the theme or the holiday or the month, what we're doing in class. And so you can see this little girl right here. She's pointing to the poem. She's reading it out loud to herself at the center. They have a template that they have to write on that's about the poem. So they write the poem and they answer questions about it. Okay. So then they can also read nursery rhyme books. They can read other poetry books that you have in a basket. I have a pocket chart right here that has a monthly poem on it as well. Just anything that you can think of that's poetry, put it in your center. You can have fancy pointers for them to use. So this is just another way for them to practice their fluency. You could have a sand timer in your center, and then they could practice reading the poem using the sand timer and see if they can beat their time. So anything that you can have for them to practice fluency, because poetry has a lot of rhythm and rhyme. It's just songs. You can use chants, different ways to practice their fluency as well. So that's just another way of practicing their fluency. Technology is another easy thing for you guys to incorporate in your room. Technology center. Bam. iPads, Chromebooks, computers, laptops, whatever you have in your room, use it as a center for technology. That can be your saving grace right there. And then every time you introduce a new game, let's say that you are in math. Okay, let's say that you teach this lesson with math and you introduce a new technology game. Let's say you want to use something on Starfall, or you want to use something on ABC Y'all. Hey guys, this is a new game that you could do during your center time when you go to technology. So anytime that you're introducing a new technology game, you can always tell them to add it to their favorites, what they do in technology. So in my class, we have iPads and we have Chromebooks. We used to have computers. We don't have any computers anymore. And so now we have Chromebooks and iPads. So during math rotations, my kids are doing Imagine Math. And then during Literacy Center time, they are doing Epic. They're listening to Epic, or they're doing Starfall, or they can also do Seesaw. Okay? So that's what I do, but you can do whatever your district wants you to do for your technology programs. Then technology is also a great center that you can do. And they also have a template that they have to fill out during Literacy Center time. They have a template. They can draw the picture of what they did that day and then write about it. Now, my technology and my listening center are together. And you can have those together and then have 2 for 1. But these are not my centers. I got these off of Pinterest, but these are some really cute ideas for a listening center. So for listening center, you can do a couple things. You can have QR codes that the kids can scan to a story to hear the story. You can go to Epic. I recommend Epic. That is amazing because it's free for teachers. Epic is wonderful, and they have the stories that are read to me, and they also have leveled stories, so you can pick out the right level for your kids to listen to. You don't have to have them read to me, but if they're at a listening center, they need to be able to listen to somebody read. Or you can also use Storyline Online, which is fun too. So again, they can take the basket of the listening center to their table. They can listen to it. They can sit on the floor. They can listen to it at a table. I love this cute little table up here. I wish I had that in my room. So listening can be easy to set up. You don't have to change anything with listening. All you have to do is change what they're listening to. So the concept is the same. The procedure is the same. It's just what they're listening to. So if it's an Epic story, just assign them a new story. If it's a Storyline Online story, assign them a new story. Tell them what story they go to. If it's a QR code that's on a ring, I used to have my QR codes on a ring and they'd flip the QR code. Just have a new set of QR codes. So the center stays the same, but the stories change. Okay? So, and I use my listening center with my technology center. Writing center is, I will tell you, is one of the more complicated ones. So I usually save my writing center towards the end. When I'm introducing my centers, I kind of keep my writing center towards the end because it's a little bit more, there's more to it than just a couple things. I mean, it's very complicated, but you can make it as complicated or as simple as you like. But on my writing wall, my writing board, I have all of these ICANN posters. And you can put up whatever ICANN poster you want them to do. I put all of them up at the same time, but I don't introduce them all. I only introduce maybe 2 right away. The easiest ones that I introduce are the sticker stories and the shape books. Oh, and making a list. Okay. So if I put I might put like a little sticker on the ones that I want them to do, and I only put out those templates. I don't put all the templates out. I just put out the ones I want them to do. There's a video right here that you can click on this video, and I walk you through my writing center verbatim. Every single material and supply that I use for my writing center. And I go through all the different ICANN cards as well. Okay? So for writing center, we all sit together on the floor together. We all do a sticker story. So I go to Walmart and I buy these really cute stickers. Dinosaurs, kittens, puppies, fish, princesses, unicorns. I buy all these stickers, and so they get to choose which sticker story they want to write about. And this is a wonderful way to hook them into the writing center because the sticker stories are so fun. They can make a scene with their stickers and they can write a story about it. So then we all pick a sticker story. They sit on the floor. They have their stickers in their hand, their lap, and they're putting them on their paper. And they're writing a story about their sticker story. So we all do that together. And that's really the first thing I do. And then as the year goes on, I will introduce more things. So like if I teach them what a procedural story is, during Writer's Workshop, I will then introduce it in the Writing Center after that. Because you want your centers to be a spiral review of things they've already learned. You never want to put something in your center that is new. Because that's when the chaos and the behavior starts. The behavior problems start, okay? So, Dahlia, I'm seeing your question. How many stickers do you let them take for a story? I will give them a whole sheet. I'll just let them have the whole sheet, but they have to pick 5 stickers off of their sheet. It's a great question. And then they'll give me back the sheet that has the leftover stickers. And I have a drawer that I put all the stickers in, so I put them back in the drawer. But they can have the whole sheet to pick out 5 stickers for their story. Okay? Then that sticker story goes in their center folder that they keep with all their supplies. I show them how to color in the Writing Center checklist. because I have a checklist that they have to color in to keep them accountable. So I have 2 different writing resources. I have a rainbow, an original one that has the pencils on it, and then I have the farmhouse one. So again, this is part of the BOGO. If you purchase the Writing Center today, if you don't win it, you want to purchase it, it's part of a BOGO, so you can pick something from my store the same price or less. Okay, Theme Center. Now, in my previous webinars, I have showcased my theme centers. So, theme centers change every 2 or 3 weeks. Here's why. In our first grade classes, we usually do a rotation between science and social studies. The theme center reflects the standards that we are teaching for science and social studies. So for example, in January, we do a weather unit. So you can see right here, my theme center is all about weather. Okay, I'll have weather books they can read. I'll have puzzles. I'll have felt board activities. I'll have just different games and activities that they can do that has to do with that standard. Okay. At the end of the year, I usually do a big ocean unit. So this is my ocean theme center that I did in the past. And so I have shells they can look at, they can observe. I have fish and sharks and whales, and they have to sort different shells. They have to write about it and the different ocean animals. And so you can make a theme center about your science or social studies standards. So this is the picture up here that I have on my icon. So they know if it's a scientist and a globe, they know that it's the theme center. Here's some more examples. Here's my community helper center. This one is so much fun. They love this one because they get to wear the hats of the community helpers. They get to do puzzles. And I have these little boxes of all the different trinkets for each job. We talk about career day. We talk about being a good citizen, about our community. And so there's a video here. You can click on this picture and it'll go through one of my theme centers. I believe it's my president's theme center that is in the video. Okay. This is my All About Me theme center from the beginning of the year, from last year. I have themes. My theme center for All About Me has all of the different 5 senses on it because we talk about scientists and how they use their 5 senses and how we have 5 senses and we use them for different things. We have different emotions because in whole child meetings we talk about our feelings a lot. And so there's books, there's puzzles, there's a felt board activity, different things they can do, experience for their 5 senses and All About Me. So the theme center is really fun. I really enjoy putting together the theme center. It is time consuming, I will tell you. These items I don't store at school. I store at home in tubs at home. And so I just switch out the tubs every 2 or 3 weeks and then take them to school. Okay, so my new kitchen center. I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, here she goes again. But I'm really proud of it. So I decided this summer, I just had an epiphany one day and I was like, why not have a procedural writing kitchen center? Because in first grade, we have our standard for writing has to do with procedural text. And writing a recipe is perfect for that. And I already have a lot of craftivities in my store that reflects those procedural texts, like how to make s'mores, how to make pizza, how to make chili, how to make hot chocolate. And I thought, wow, why wouldn't it be fun to actually have an engaging hands-on center that has those recipes in it? And so, I know that a lot of us cannot have real food in our classroom, but if you're in a private school and you want to use real food, or if you're in a district that doesn't mind that you use real food, I say go for it. You can use real food and have them actually make their food. But I decided to use the Melissa and Doug food, so I ordered some plastic food, wooden food off of Amazon, and I just got these crates from Walmart, and I got these tubs off of Amazon. I labeled each tub with the different food items that I got. So I have tacos, I have pizza, I have sandwiches, I have ice cream. And what I'm going to have the kids do is sit. I'm going to have them at a table. And I have 2 big tables in my room that the computers used to be on, and we have no more computers. So I thought this would be perfect for this kitchen center. So I'm going to put all of these on the kitchen center, these crates and tubs. And since I have a farmhouse theme, the theme is going to be a farmhouse, and so farmhouse kitchen. And then I ordered this stove top here that they can play with, they can pretend, they can make their food. And then I have this board right here that says first, then next, last, and they can sequence how to make the recipe using these cards. And so I also have a video that you can watch. Oops, sorry. Went too fast. There's also a video that you can watch that I posted in the Facebook group of my kitchen center if you want to go back, and you can click on the picture later and you can watch it. And it goes a little step by step about how I set it up and what the materials are. But in the resource, the kitchen center resource, I have all of these cards. So I'm going to put the cards on a ring and have them take the cards off the ring and then put them on the pocket chart or the board and sequence their recipe. And then they're going to write about it. So that's my newest endeavor. Okay, word work usually stays the same all year. You can do word work 2 different ways. If you want to have all the activities there for them to do with all the word families, that I wouldn't do all the word families at one time. I would introduce the word families as you teach them. However, if you teach 2nd grade or 3rd grade, you could have all of those already there because they already know how to do them. But if you teach kinder or 1st and you want to introduce the word families for the activities each week, that's perfectly fine. You can do that too. But I use this cart that I got from Michael's, this teal cart right here. And what they do is they roll it onto the carpet and they sit on the carpet and they take the games off of the cart and they play the games on the carpet. So a lot of the games are word family oriented. So they have dice that they roll that has the word families, and they have to make a list of the word families that they roll. There's popcorn words from kindergarten. If you call them popcorn words or sight words, then you can have them write down sight words. They can practice their fluency with the Word Work Center as well. You can have them work with vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and they can take these drawers out of, this is from Lakeshore, they take the drawers out of here and they set them on the floor and they make words with the different word families. I have a Chicka Chicka Boom Boom tree that they can take off the tree right here and they can practice their ABCs, practice putting words in alphabetical order. I have word family books down here that they can read. You could have Play-Doh also. They could make words with Play-Doh. So the possibilities are endless. I'm not a teacher that has like the games inside of baggies because I like my games to be more engaging. I'm not saying that the games in baggies are not engaging, but I like having more hands-on materials for the kids to play with. That's why I have most of my games out already on the centers, so I don't have to store them. I just tell the kids you can only play with this shelf or this color basket or whatever. And then as the year goes on, then I will introduce more things. So anyways, it's up to you about how you want to do it, but that's just how I do it. I'm not like a baggy type of person because I don't have space in my classroom. That's just how my classroom is because I don't have a closet in my classroom. I have a wardrobe closet that opens up, but I don't keep my centers in there. I keep my binders, my thematic binders in there. So that's why I do my centers like this, so I can have all my games out at the same time. Okay. This is my art center. Michael, I'm looking at your question. How do you start out word work for pre-readers? What I would do, I would just have ABC activities. I would not have any word family activities. I would just have ABC. That Chicka Chicka Boom Boom tree that I had there in the center. They could do some activities with the letters. They could just have them identify the letters and put them on the tree. Have them draw pictures of a letter. Have them make the letter with Play-Doh. Just practice. You could have some cards with letters and have them practice making the letter with a car, like having them drive on the letter and practice making the letter. I mean, just real easy stuff with ABCs. You could also have some picture books of ABCs in there too for them to look at. My art center, okay, so my art center is next to my writing center. So they use a lot of the same materials from the writing center and the art center. But I also have this little drawer right here that has beads, googly eyes, toothpicks, jewels for them to glue on their center template. And I tell them they can only have 5 jewels at a time. They can only have 5. Because if they start dumping out the drawer onto the table, they lose their privilege. They can't go to that center. And because that's the expectation that I have set at the head of time. So when we sit on the floor and we talk about the art center, I tell them they can only have 5 things to glue on their center template. Okay. And that way I don't have to go to Walmart every single week and buy new supplies. I mean, then they last longer, you know? So you can have markers, you can have crayons, you can have colored pencils, you can have those designer scissors right here. You can have paint. I do have paints in there they can paint. You can have a little easel here that they can paint. You can have an apron for them to paint with. You know, put on an apron and paint. You can have a shelf of colored paper. You can have a how-to book, how to draw. I have these books that are read, write, draw, that shows how to draw certain animals or certain things. There's like they can draw an apple tree or they can draw a barn, and it shows the different steps of drawing. I put that out. They just can't touch the book. I have it inside of a stand. But they can choose something that they can draw or color or paint in the art center. And that stays the same all year. The only thing I switch out in my art center is I might switch out the templates that reflect the holidays. And then the book that I told you, the how-to book, I switch out the pages. So for Halloween, it might be drawing a jack-o'-lantern. Okay, so really easy. I also have finger puppets. You do not have to have finger puppets, but this is just another center that I have, and the kids love these finger puppets. They can put on a puppet show with these finger puppets, and they have the glove. I have a glove that fits on their hand, and they put the finger puppets. It's a Velcro puppet that they put on their fingers. So they can use those finger puppets to create a puppet show. They have to draw the picture of the characters on their template. They have to write a story about it. I also have the children around the world. Little children in the baskets up here, and I have these birds that sing. I know you guys have all seen these birds, and there's a nest they sit in, and so they can choose a bird to write a play about, or 2 birds to write a play about in their finger puppets. And they sit on the floor for this one. Okay, this is Read and Write the Room. Read and Write the Room is together as one center. You do not have to have them separated. Read and Write the Room can be together, so you can just have those. You can have pointers in a stand or in a vase, and you can have those fly swatters that you can cut the middle out of the fly swatter and have them go around the room, and they can pick words. They can read words around the room. So that's Read the Room, and then you can have their template that they can write the room after they go around and read the room. So you can see the little boy here in the bottom. He is pointing to my secret stories. I love secret stories. If you are not familiar with secret stories, you should check those out. Those are awesome. Those go along with our phonics program. But he's reading the secret stories, and then he's going to write his list of words on his template. So in the Read Around the Room Center, I have these phones that they can use, the vocalization phones that they can talk into, and then I have these cool little colored glasses they can wear, and then I have these pointers, and then you guys probably saw this, but I made a classroom pointer flower garden a couple of weeks ago. I got this idea from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, and Greg Smiley Warren was making this on one of his YouTubes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to make this. This is amazing. So I went to Walmart, and I got these wooden dowels, and I got these wooden cutouts of the animals, and it shows you here, which is also in the resource, it shows you how to put these together. And I just made a flower garden of these pointers, and so I'm going to put this in my Read Around the Room Center. I'm going to model how they're going to take the pointer out and then put it back in where they got it. and not just make holes everywhere into the foam. And so they're going to be able to use these pointers to read around the room. And I'm going to try it this year and see how it goes. But it's really cute. You can do it with any theme. You don't have to use sunflowers. You can use any flower that you want to, and any cutout animal that you want to. And they also have these at Michael's too. This is my felt board center, which stays the same all year. This is an easy one. At Lakeshore, they have these felt board activities that you can buy as a kit. All you need to do is have a felt board, and then I just put those felt board characters inside of tubs. So they just stand here, and they pick out whichever felt container they want to do, and they want to put together. I have Elmer, Corduroy, Brown Bear, Silly Sally, Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Pete the Cat. They can pick which one they want to do. They can make their story on their felt board. And then they have to write about it on their template, and they have to draw the picture. Research is another center that you could have, which goes along with your library. So this is on the opposite side of my books in my library. My other side has the holiday books, but this side has the research books. You could put research books on here for your higher kids. If you have high flyers in your room that read way above grade level and you want them to have a challenge, I suggest having them go to your research center. You could give them an extra project to do when they research. Since they can read most of the text that you're putting out for them, they can pick a research topic, and then they can write about it. They can label it. They can draw pictures of it. Whatever you want them to do, but research is a really good way to differentiate your high flyers in your room. So, and that stays the same all year. You can have the same books in there. They can just pick different topics every time they go. This is my geography center, which stays the same all year as well. And so when I go on vacation to different places, I usually buy different trinkets that I can add to my boxes. And so I have these countries around the world boxes. And so I have one for Holland, England, Germany, Sweden, Spain, Mexico, United States, France, Italy. And so I just add different trinkets to the boxes. They can pick out a box and they can look inside of it and look at all the different things that I have inside. And so you can get postcards from different places. You can get, like I said, trinkets, coins, money. The kids are fascinated with different types of money from around the world. So if you go to Europe and you want to save some of that money, you can put it in your center. You can put a globe for them to look at the continents, the oceans. I have a puzzle of the continents and oceans. I have books of all the different continents they can look at. And so they love the Geography Center. That's one of their favorite ones. And you could also make this part of a listening center as well if you wanted to add books that they can listen to about countries around the world or different celebrations or customs around the world, especially when you do Christmas around the world for holidays. You can also make this a listening center. So the possibilities are endless, but I really love my Geography Center. It's really fun. And so they learn a lot about the different countries as the year goes on, because I tell them every time you go to that center, you need to pick a different tub and learn about a new country. And it's amazing about what they discover. They can wear the necklaces. You see the little girl in the picture. She has on one of the necklaces. She's doing Holland. I think she did Holland. Yeah, it says Holland. But anyway, she's wearing the necklace from Holland, and then she's looking at one of the trinkets that's in the box. And then she's writing about it. They're drawing pictures about it. They can draw the flag. I have a picture of a flag in there. That's the country's flag. So it's really fun. They learn a lot from that one. This is my science center. And so science also stays the same all year. I have these tubs. And this is what I do for science. They grab a tub from the top shelf. They take it on the floor, or they take it to their desk or their carpet, and then they look inside of it. So on these tubs, I have dinosaurs, rocks and fossils, ocean, plants, reptiles, machines and magnets, insects, rainforests, birds, and space and weather. So again, I have bought things from nature centers, or if you have, anything that you have for science that you're not using, stick it in your tubs for them to look at and observe during the center time. And then when you're teaching that specific topic, you could just take that box, put it next to your chair when you do your mentor text or read aloud chair, and then you can show them those different items that are in the tubs for science. I also have science books that are in there. I have the Magic School Bus books. I love Magic School Bus, and I put all of their science books in there. So you could have anything in your science center that they can observe or they can read or discover. You could have magnifying glasses. You could have those little Visa, I don't even know what they're called. It's a little picture down here with all the different, the visor that they can click on. They can look at the different pictures. I had those when I was a little girl. But Science Center can be easy because you can just, introduce all the different tubs. All you have to tell them is make sure they put the right trinket back into the right tub. Don't put the bird back into the insect tub. Don't put the ocean whale back into the rock fossils tub. They have to make sure they stay in the right tub. Okay. You could also have a museum center. The museum is more of hands-on real artifacts. So in the museum center, you could have pine cones, you could have bones and fossils. I did have a fish bowl with a betta fish in there. They can observe the betta fish. You could have tadpoles. You could have a terrarium of a frog or a spider, tarantula, whatever you want to have as your museum center, something that they can observe and look at. Let's see, I had bird nests in there. I had shark teeth, fossils, a lot of different things that they can look at. But it's really fun because it's something unusual that they've never seen before. Items that they've never seen before. And the skeletons of animals, like if you find a goat skull or a cow skull or a cow horn or antler, a deer antler, they love those things. And so they can observe them, they can write them down and draw pictures of them and label them. Okay, we are ready for our second winner here. So I'm going to go through. Oh yeah, Christy, thank you. Viewmasters, thank you. I wasn't able to think about that. Okay, so I'm going to look for my second winner here. Michael Lewis Sarrazin. Michael Lewis Sarrazin. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. But you are my second winner. If you are interested in any of the free resources, Michael, then you can message me after the Facebook Live is over. Congratulations, Michael. And you can pick one of those 4 resources. Okay, this is my Math Center. Math Center stays the same pretty much all year. You just put those games inside the shelves. You don't have to introduce all the games at the same time. You can have them, you can differentiate the games. I have done Math Centers before where I've differentiated my math tubs. So I labeled them Math Tub 1, Math Tub 2, Math Tub 3. And so they can pull them off the shelf. And so they know which tub they're working in according to their data of their math tests or their assessments. So in the Math Center, I have math books. I really love incorporating math literature within my math lessons. And so I put those math literature books in my center as well so they can look at the math literature. So on this picture over here, you can see this tub has math literature books in it. So I have snap cubes. I have these dinosaurs. Now, you can have graphing activities in your Math Center. These are really fun and easy to put together. I just use these chip trays from the dollar store, and they can graph these animals, or they can graph snap cubes, or they can graph buttons. Any of these chip trays you can use. I put 2 of them on the shelf, and they take those off, and then they can graph whatever it is you want them to graph, and then they write about it and draw a picture about it. In the Math Center, I have a checklist that they check off. Did they do graphing? Did they do telling time? Did they count? Did they measure? So I have some measuring things in there. I have a scale. And at the top shelf here, I have these plastic fruits and vegetables. They can practice making the scale balanced by using those vegetables. And they can do puzzles. They can tell time. They can measure. I have a measuring stick, a measuring tape. They can measure the shelf and see how many inches long it is. So different things they can do for math is really fun. If you want to not have a math center during literacy center time and you want to have a math center for your rotation, math center for math stations during math time, that is perfectly fine. I think what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to combine both of them together. I'm going to have my math center and my math stations at the same center so that all my math stuff is all together. And I haven't done that before, and I don't know why, but duh. I'm just going to put them all together. So whenever my math stations are going on and they have math tubs, they're just going to take the tubs off the shelf and they're going to take them to their spot. And then that way they can just all have my math stuff will all be together. And then I'm going to put my math rotation chart above my math center. So it's just all going to be in one spot. So that's another thing I'm going to do. This is my game center. You don't have to have a game center, but if you want the kids to play Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, play card games, play chess, checkers, anything like that, this is perfect for that. You can get a little picnic table and have a game center. That's a easy center, and most of the kids already know how to play all those games. You just have to make sure you set your expectations and your rules about how to clean up and how to put the games back in the right boxes, and how to make the center look nice. And then I have a template that they use. They have to draw the game that they played and then write about who their partner was and then who won the game and how did they play it. So that's an instant game center. It's really easy. Oh, and if you don't have any games, I'm sure you can ask some of the kids to bring some of their games from home that they don't play anymore, and then you can put some of those games in your center. This is my big book stand. A lot of you may not have a big book stand like this one, but you can use laundry baskets to put your a stand-up laundry basket, and you put the big books in the laundry basket. That's easy. Big books are easy because they stay the same all year. What they do is they just pick a big book out of the stand, they take it to the carpet, they use a pointer, and they read the story, or they look at the pictures, and they write about the book with beginning, middle, and end. And that's all they really do. Okay? Big books is easy. Especially whenever I use a big book in my lesson, I say, okay, now this book is in the Big Book Center. So when you go to the Big Book Center, look for this book and you can reread it again because it's a friendly read, okay? And you know how to read it already. So Big Books is the same all year. Drama Center, you could have a puppet theater. Stays the same all year. You can have a puppet stand with puppets on it. I allow only, like I said, one student at each center. So they pick 2 puppets that they want to play with. They create a puppet show, and then they write about it, and they tell the genre of the play. They could tell me if it's fiction, fairy tale, fantasy, whatever it is, and then they can write about the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution, and then they put on their play. They have to do it quietly. They have to whisper their play whenever they're doing it, because the other kids that are working are going to want to turn around and they're going to look at the center and watch them perform. So I have my drama center in the back of my room, kind of away from it's out of the way so that it doesn't distract the other kids. Okay? So that's just a little trick that I've used over the year. But they have to make sure they put the puppets back on the stand when they're finished. When I'm counting down and they have my center time is over, they have to put all the puppets away. They have to push the drama center back where it goes and clean up everything. Author study is a fun study to do, a fun center that you can do. I have this on the back of my easel. My easel faces my carpet. So on the back of my easel, there's a bulletin board. So what I do is I turn the easel around whenever we're talking about Kevin Hinks or Eric Carle or Jan Brett, whatever it is. I will turn the easel around and then introduce the author, and inside the boxes underneath the easel are the books from the author that we read. So if you don't have tubs of author books, you can use shelves like this and then put the books down in the bottom. I also have some puppets from books that I've used for the Author Center. So what they do is they pull out the books that they want to read. They sit on the floor. They have a template that they work on, and then they have to tell who the author was. They have to draw their picture, write their name, and then they draw the picture of the book that they read and then tell about the characters, the setting, the problem, and solution. Okay? So we all sit on the floor. When we do Author Station, when I introduce it, we all sit on the floor. We all read the ICANN cards. They copy what I read. And then we all do the same center template together. Then we all go back to their desk and they all color it. And then I will walk around and I'll pick the best one that is colored the best, the nicest, neatest one to get a bonus book. And that really shows them that my expectations for their center pages are very high because they have to have them colored. They have to have them completed. If they're not completed at the end of the month, then they don't get a bonus book for that. So speaking of bonus books, this is the checklist that I use for accountability. And I know a lot of teachers have struggled with having their centers accountable. How do you make your centers accountable? Well, I have discovered a way that using bonus books really helps them stay accountable for their center pages, for their activities. I don't particularly grade their center pages because it's a spiral review of what they've already learned. Okay? I don't grade them, but I do want them to complete them. It's like a completion participation grade. Okay? But I don't give them a grade. So whenever they go to a center, this template is in their center folder. So I got this checklist that is 25 centers. I also have one that is 16 centers. And I have one that is 9 centers. Now, if you would like for me to create a checklist for you that include the centers that you have in your classroom, just message me and I will be glad to make one for you. That is not a problem. Okay? So what happens is these are the center pages that are at each center. They color them, they complete them, they put them in their center folder. And like I said, I will give a bonus book to the best one that's colored and completed. And I pick a different child each day when I'm introducing those centers. So they know that my expectations, what my expectations are for those pages. Now, if you don't want to have pages, if you just want to have, if you're more of a digital technology teacher and you would rather them take pictures of what they do and put them on Seesaw or Google Classroom, that's perfectly fine. I have these colored pages that you can put in clear plastic sleeves. They can write on them with Expo markers, take a picture of them with their iPad or Chromebook, put them on your platform, whatever you want, and then that's their accountability, if you want to do it that way. Okay? So it's really up to your teaching style. I like having the folder because I like seeing all their work at the end of the month. That helps me see what they've been up to. And it helps them be more accountable that way than keeping, and I don't have time. My time is limited, so I don't have enough time for them to go and take a picture of what they're doing. And it takes a little bit too long. So I have them do this instead. These are some of the examples of the center pages. When they're colored, they look beautiful. This is how I want them to look. And so I reward them if they look like this. If they're scribbled, I don't give them a bonus book. If they're not colored, I won't give them a bonus book. And then the checklist is inside the brads of the folder. And I make about 8 different checklists, one for each month. So at the end of the month, after they have all their centers colored, I want them to go to as many centers as they can. They don't have to color in every single one. If they don't get to 5 of them, that's okay. Okay? They might get to all of them. It depends on if they're a fast finisher or not. Okay? They color in the center that they completed. They will tear out this page. And then they put that page on top of all the center pages and they turn them in. Then I will spend the weekend counting all their pages. And then on Monday morning, I will give them their bonus books. And I'll have them ready to go. I have them on their desk. When they come in the room, I'll say, okay, you guys have your money on your desk from your centers. Enjoy your money. Great job. Y'all worked hard. Okay. So they tear it out of the folder and they turn it in. So like I said, if you want me to create a checklist for you, that is perfectly fine. And I'm happy to do that for you because I know a lot of us have different centers that we do, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to have a checklist like this, that is fine, and I'll be glad to make one for you. So I give bonus bucks for the centers that they turn in, but I thought this year I could use my desk pets. So desk pets are the newest craze right now. So I ordered some desk pets. I took a plunge and I ordered some desk pets with the little container that you see right here. So I thought, why not give the kids their first desk pet if they completed their center pages and they turned them in the first month. Everybody's going to get one because we all do them all together. Give them their first desk pet. They can choose whichever one they want to. I'm going to put a magnet on the back of this little container so they can stick it on the end of their desk. So it's magnetic so it doesn't fall off their desk. They can earn a desk pet for their centers. And then the next month, whenever they turn in their next group of centers, I might say, okay, this month you have to have 10 center pages to earn your next desk pet. Okay, so then they can take this one out of here and put the new one in, or however you want to do it. But I thought these would be fun for them to earn, to make it more, they're more accountable for their centers and doing their centers accurately. Because I know a lot of kids, the first month, they do a great job. And then the next month, when they're by themselves at the centers, that's when they start getting really messy. And they start rushing through what they have to do at the center, and they don't take the time to do it the right way. So in order to earn a desk pet, you have to have them colored, outlined, and neat. And then you have to have 10 or more of your center pages. Now, you will have those kids, I will tell you, that only get to 1 or 2 centers a month because they're very slow, they're very pokey, and they don't get their work done like they're supposed to. So you may have to decide, you and that child may have to decide, okay, you can earn a desk pet for something else, okay? Maybe something they did for math or science or, writing or something like that. You may want to give a desk pet to somebody that publishes a book in your classroom. You can do different things, but you're going to have those kids that are not, they're just not motivated to go to their centers, and they just take so long to finish their work. So that's whenever I get the parents involved and I say, look, I'm going to send home some work with your child over the weekend. Would you please help them catch up on their work? So that then when they come back Monday morning, their folder is empty. And I will tell you, there's a new light in their eyes when they have an empty folder. And that STAR student comes to their desk and says, okay, you can go to centers. And they're like, what? Really? They're so excited because they finally have all their work finished. Now, if you don't want them to have to worry about their work and then you do a rotation and you have them go to different centers with the doorbell or the timer or whatever, that's perfectly fine. But like I said, in my room, they have to have their work done. So centers are like a privilege for them for the fast finishers. Because I know we have a lot of fast finishers that do their work really fast. And they're like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I need something to do, So that's why I created these literacy centers, because I want them to be engaged and still have fun whenever their work is finished. So this is just how I do it, and you can take it or leave it however you want to do it. But I just thought that the desk pets might be more of an incentive for them to complete their work for centers this year. So I'm going to try that in my room and see how that works out. So I also made a checklist for Seesaw. In case you want a checklist on Seesaw, here's what I thought you could do. You could have the kids color in their checklist on Seesaw as an assignment and save it as a draft. And then at the end of the month, they can submit it to you after they have all their checklist finished. So that's just another option if you want to go digital. If you want to have them take pictures of their center template that they write on with the expo marker, that's perfectly fine. Whatever you want to do to have them to have them be accountable for what they're doing. I feel like they need to have some accountability in their centers because you want to have some kind of follow through. You don't want them just to go and then just play around and be silly, because that's whenever behaviors start to arise, you know. So you want to have a purpose for your centers, and I tell them when you finish your center template, then you can play in your center. If you still have more time, that's perfectly fine. So message me on Facebook if you want me to make you a center checklist on Seesaw that has your icons. I'd be glad to do that for you. So again, I mean, this is just another option. Okay, I am getting close to the end here, and I have my bottle of my gift card winners. So I'm going to draw one more name. For my TPT gift card. Let's see who I'm going to draw. I promise this isn't rigged. Okay, Peggy Fox Greer. Peggy Fox Greer. So Peggy, if you're listening, you are my second TPT gift card winner. Congratulations, Peggy. And my next winner is going to win one of the resources from my centers. All right, let's see. How about Susie Kim? Susie Kim, you are my third winner for one of my resources, okay? So you can pick one of those 4 resources that I showed you at the beginning, and then I will message it to you for free. So congratulations. So we have our 3 winners today are Gail, Michael, and Susie. And then my 2 TPT gift card winners are Amber and Peggy, okay? So if y'all are listening, congratulations. That's amazing. Okay, guys, if you need PD credit today, I have a certificate I can give you this evening. So just be patient with me, and I will send these certificates out to you either this evening or this week sometime. Just tell me the name that you want me to put on the certificate, and I will give it to you for an hour and a half. Okay? So I'm glad to do that for you. So guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you're new to my Facebook group, I have all these different webinars that you can watch, and guess what? They're all free, okay? I have a focused poetry webinar. I have a reader's workshop webinar, writer's workshop webinar, balanced literacy webinar, how to fit it all in, guided reading, guided writing, math workshop webinar, and then I have all these months. I have January, February, March, April, May, and then now I have this one that you can watch again, and they're all saved in the Facebook group. If you go under the media section and go under media and go to videos, you can find all of my webinars. And then if you go on my TPT store and go on the custom category side where it says free for you, all of these webinars are free. Okay? You can download them. And then they all have clickable links. You can look at any resource, any YouTube that you want to look at. Okay. All right. So if you did not answer, if you did not ask a question, you can hop off. You do not have to stay anymore. So that's the end of my presentation. Please submit a question. Please submit a question to the Facebook group if you have a question about anything that I just talked about. I'll be glad to answer you. But I'm going to go through the comments real quick right now, and I'm going to see if there's any questions that I can answer really quickly. Okay, let's see. What day of school do you start introducing centers? I start on day 2. Day 2. And day 2, that's a great question. Day 2 is when I introduce the center folder, the checklist, the center rotation chart. Okay? I introduced those 3 things on day 1, on the second day of school. The third day of school is when we start going to the different centers, and we sit together on the floor. We talk about the template. We talk about expectations of that center. We talk about the activities in the center. That's a great question. Okay, Susie, I'm seeing your question. With COVID, how are you changing centers? Will students still move about the classroom? Yes, my students still move about the classroom. So last year when we were in person all year last year. So what I did was I had a spray bottle of Lysol, I think it was, something like that. And so I sprayed whenever we did a new day of centers, I sprayed the centers. And so that helped a little bit. But the kids, I trained them to sanitize their hands before they go to centers. And each time they would switch a center, they would sanitize their hands. So that really helped a whole bunch. With the spray that I had and then the sanitizing, that's really all I had to do. So I'm going to do the same thing this year. But that's a great question. And I still had them sit, like for math rotations, for math tubs, I had them sit on the corners of the carpet so they weren't together because they had to be 6 feet apart. And this year, they have to be, I think, 3 feet apart. So they can sit closer together. But that's why I only had one student per center. So to cut down on the sanitizing. That's a great question. Regina, your question, how are the desk pets small erasers? Do they get to keep them? Yes, these are small erasers, Regina. And they have all different animals that I ordered on Amazon. And they get to keep them, and then I'm going to have them switch them out. They don't get a new container. The container will stay the same, but they get to switch out their desk pet whenever they get to earn a new one. So that's what I'm planning on doing. D, you said, do you keep any of their center papers for portfolios? You certainly can. I send them all home after I look at them and give them bonus specs, but you certainly can for portfolios. Yes, definitely. That's a great idea, especially if it's like a research, something they did for research or something that they, the next year's teacher wants to see. That's a great idea to add them to their portfolios. Jennifer says, I'm so glad you're willing to adapt your resources for us. You make our life easier. Oh, you're welcome. I love helping teachers. Christy says, love your author boards. Yes, I love doing an author study. It's really fun. Marianne says, wow, I can't imagine getting all these items together and organized. Well, it takes a lot of time to do it at the beginning, but once you have it done, it's done. Then you don't really have to worry about it anymore. Dee says, is the game center the only one you allow to have more than one student? Yes, you can have 2 kids at the game center. I didn't have a game center last year with COVID. But this year I might have a game center again. But you just kind of like have to feel out your kids and see if they can work well together. I mean, they always have to work together no matter what. But I just didn't have a game center last year because of restrictions on COVID. But I think I'm going to have one again this time. But yes, you can have 2 to play together at your game center. Nicole says, this is my 2nd year teaching and I am slowly but surely collecting materials for my classroom. Yeah, it takes a while, Nicole. Don't try to do everything at once. It takes a while and be patient. You got to be patient. Let's see. The milk crates. Okay, I love the milk crates with tubs. I don't even have a countertop in my room. Super old school, and my principal is being picky about furniture. Yeah, our principal was picky at first. We had a new school, and we weren't allowed to bring any new furniture in either. So we had to like be creative. We used lots of crates, and I like using the crates because they're easier to store. And I like putting the centers inside the crates. I wish I had the room for all these neat centers. You've given me some great ideas. Oh, that's great, Nicole. I'm glad that you're getting some ideas. Could you do research in writing or library center? Michael, that's a great question. You can use, research can be done in library, or if you want to do it in writing, that is perfectly fine. You know, that's a great idea. You don't have to do research as a separate thing. You can do it together. Great question. I have a read the room bucket full of Dollar Tree items to use as pointers. Oh, yeah, that's great, Paula. Oh, Michelle says that she's sorry to leave. I love your listening center. Oh, you can always watch this later. If you go into the media section in the Facebook group, you can always go back and look at this later, okay? And watch it again. Yeah, Greg is awesome. I love following Greg Smedley Warren. He's awesome. He's got great ideas. Let's see. How do you start out word work for pre-readers? I think I answered that question, Michael, about ABC books and the ABC activities they can make with Play-Doh, and then they can trace the ABCs with cars. They can make it a road, and you can have them trace it. Let's see. Yeah, the theme center is super fun. Themes, they love it. How many stickers do you let them move? Oh yeah, I answered that one about stickers. I let them use 5 stickers to write their sticker story. You have inspired me to work of a poetry center. My laminator is getting good use. Oh, I need to buy a laminator, Paula. I really do. I need a color printer and I need a laminator. I always have to go to the UPS store to print out all my color stuff whenever I can't go to school, and it gets pretty expensive. You guys have a lot of great questions on here. iReady is also, let's see, Regina says, I have iReady, but I also do eSparks. I don't know what eSparks is. I do know what iReady is, though. Oh, I never thought about using Calendar for a center. Yeah, absolutely. And it's an easy one. Love interactive word walls. Yes, you can make your word wall a center. That's very easy. I love the way you did the word wall where the kids can take them off, use them, and return them. Yes, and it's very interactive. Using a sound wall and a word wall. Yes, I plan to do both. Let's see. Jennifer says, do you have them read and record it on Seesaw so you can hear them read? I guess, are you talking about the listening center? Yes, you can have them. I have them record themselves a lot on Seesaw, especially during math time. When they do their assignment, they have to record themselves. And anytime they're reading sight words, anytime they're reading word family words on Seesaw, they have to press the mic and they have to record. I always listen to them read. And it's a very, very enlightening thing for me, for the teacher to listen to the kids read on Seesaw and then explaining their thinking and explaining their work on Seesaw. I love it. It's awesome. I just lay in bed at night and I just listen to all my kids read on Seesaw. It's really fun. Your organization is just my style. Oh, good, Michelle. I'm glad. Tell me about the Word Wall Center, Dahlia. Okay, so the Word Wall Center is an eye level and it's on their level. So they can go to the word wall and they can take the words off the word wall with a clip. So I have a clothespin on the word and they clip it onto the ribbon. Okay, and then we introduce 5 new words a week. We write it in our word wall folder. And then when they go to the center, they can take 5 words off the word wall and they can practice putting them in alphabetical order. So whenever I introduce the new high frequency words, we go in alphabetical order. So I might have a word that has an A, I might have a word that has a D or an F or a Z, and then I go in order and I teach them what that is. So then when they go to that center later on, they already know, okay, I'm going to do the A words first. I'm going to do the Z words last. So, and I like making it interactive so that way they have ownership of the words. And then whenever they need a word, whenever they are writing a story or they're responding in their schema notebook, they need a word. They know where that word is on the word wall because they might have put the word on the word wall themselves and they know exactly where it is. Okay. So Peggy, you're saying 1 a day, so that means only 4 days for centers. I would spend a little bit longer on if you're doing 4 centers, that is perfectly fine, but you might want to break it up. So like the first day is when I do the expectation. You can do 1 day of voice level. You can do the second day of organization. I've had to clean up the center. You can do the third day with the rotations, how they're going to rotate. I mean, you can split it up that way and do just a little bit at a time. I wouldn't try to do all of the centers like right away. I would try to break them up a little bit. And so that way, I will tell you, the longer that you take to introduce them, the better your classroom management and your rules and procedures will be. Okay. So break it up as much as you can. Now, if you have to do your centers right away, then you can. It's doable, but just make sure your expectations, you are very consistent. And if you say 1 strike and you're out, If they're talking and being silly, you say what you mean and mean what you say, and they have to come put their head down. And then don't give them a second chance. So that the next day they go to their centers, then they're more likely to follow the rules because they don't want to put their head down and they don't want to miss out on all the fun activities. Dahlia says, can you post a link again for this resource? Yes, I will post after the webinar is over in just a minute. I'm going to go back in the Facebook group and I will post all of the resources that I gave out for free today. And then you guys remember it's a BOGO, so if you buy it, you get one free out of my store, okay? Yeah, teaching your kids to clean up is a hard thing. I will tell you from experience, it's very hard, and you have to be, like I said, consistent. So if they do not clean their center the way that you want them to, have them do it again. Go back and do it again. And I've even had them pay me bonus bucks for that because it's messy. I'm very, very picky about that. I mean, I want my classroom very neat and very organized. And then after a couple of weeks of them cleaning, I will tell you that it'll be a second habit for them. It'll be second nature, and they'll just do it. And they'll learn to love it because it makes them proud. They are proud to have a nice and organized classroom. They want it just like you do. Yes, Regina, you have 4 groups, usually 5 centers. I have a doorbell. First ring is cleanup time. Second ring, quietly rotate. Yeah, great. Awesome. That's perfectly fine. How much time do they have? Peggy asked how much time do they have? And it really depends on how fast they finish their seat work. So I have about an hour. There's about an hour's time for them to do their centers, but it depends on how fast they get finished with their seat work and if they have any unfinished work to do. So I have kids going to centers at different times because they my rotation, I don't really have a set rotation where the doorbell rings. My doorbell is for my math stations, for my math block. But like I said, it's a free for all as long as they go in the same row. They are doing their centers in their row. When they finish a center, they can go to the next center if they have more time. So that's a great question. How do you handle your non-readers at the beginning of first grade in regards to reading the I Can cards? Okay, that's a great question. Dee, that's a great question. So, you know, my STAR student that I have, I will teach the STAR student. You want the STAR student to be, number one, a good reader. Very organized, very responsible, knows what's going on, okay? That student will go and read the I Can cards to that child. If I'm not available, if I'm with a group, okay? So that's part of the STAR student's job. So what happens is the kids that are at the centers, if they have a question, they will stay at their centers, they'll raise their hand. The STAR student will come to them, just like any other kid, if they have a question. And then the STAR student will help them, okay? So you want to pick a child that is a really good reader at the beginning to help out. I hope that makes sense. You know, Dolly says, be a good idea to have one student in a center. I think that's a good idea too, because it really counts. It really eliminates the talking and the silliness and the behavior. If there's only one kid per center, I think that really helps out a lot. And it's a lot quieter that way because then I can focus on my reading groups. And the other kids that are working, you know, will have quiet time. So, do you provide pencils at a center? I do at the writing center. Yes, at the writing center, I provide the colored pencils. So that's one of the things that I tell them they have to take to their centers. They have to take their pencil, their clipboard, and their center folder. So their pencil has to travel with them. That's a great question. Yeah, Regina, take a dojo point if they are talking and they don't like it. Yep. Yeah, just be consistent with whatever you choose to be, and then they'll follow through. They'll follow through. When does the STAR student complete their own work? So that's a great question. Like I said, the STAR student that you pick first needs to be a responsible student that knows what they're doing. They're a hard worker. They, so whenever I finish my reading groups, I'll say, okay, so-and-so, you can work on your stuff now. I'm available to answer questions. And I'll give them some time at the end to finish up what they have to do. Most of the time, the STAR student will be able to go to centers most of the time. They finish their work while everybody else is finishing their work. The most the STAR student has to answer questions is whenever they're done with their seat work and they raise their hand, because they have to check their work and they have to check their unfinished work in their folder. But then at the end of my reading group rotation, sometimes I have extra time and I'll say, okay, you guys, you can go work on what you have to do and I'll answer questions for you. So now you can go do your job, your own job. Okay? That's a great question. Have you ever used a digital classroom library for your listening center? No, Di, that's a great idea. I have not used a digital classroom library for my listening center, but I used Epic, if that counts. So I know a lot of teachers use a lot of different platforms for their listening center, but I have used Epic and I really like Epic. Yes, I use Epic. How do you use WordWork as a center? How do I use WordWork as a center? So you can have for WordWork, you can introduce new, the WordWork center can stay the same, but you're just introducing the new word families each time you're teaching them each week, or the new concept or skill. It can be R blends or, endings or whatever you have them do, but the skills in the center can stay the same. They can do a word list. They can make a puzzle. I mean, whatever you want them to do, the activities can stay the same, but the skill changes, if that makes sense. Okay. I think when you feel the kids settle in and understand expectations, yes. Let's see. I think I answered your question. What day of school do you start introducing centers? I start on day 2. Okay. Peer facilitator is an awesome, awesome thing, and it will save your life. Okay. Biggest struggle is the noise level during centers. I also usually have a few who don't stay on task. Yeah, the voice level, it bothers me too, and so that's why I only have 1 kid. My rule is ask 3 before me. I have a starlight, and when it is their turn, if it's turned on, they don't interrupt me. Yeah, you can definitely do that too, Regina. That's a great idea. My centers are based on the skill that we're working on. Yep. You can do your centers however you feel like it's appropriate for you in your class. What do you do if there are 2 and 3 kids getting pulled at different times? Well, like I said, you don't be afraid to still use your center time whenever those tier 2 and tier 3 kids get pulled out, because all you're doing is spiral reviewing skills that you've already taught in your classroom. You're not teaching anything new. And then there will be times when those teachers will not be available to pull them, and they can do their centers. They can have fun doing their centers, especially when those teachers are doing testing. They're being pulled for testing or progress monitoring or anything like that. So there will be times when those pull-out kids can do their centers. My center time is an hour with guided reading time. So then when those kids get back from their group, they still have some time to do their centers a little bit. It may not be as much time as the other kids, but at least they get to do some of it. Okay. All right. Let's see. How long do you usually spend on the centers daily? So the center time daily, like for a normal day, they would have about 30 minutes at their center. If they finish their seat work on time and they don't have anything in their unfinished work folder, they usually have about 30 minutes, a good 30 minutes at centers. But then I'm pulling groups too. So I may pull a kid that's from the kitchen center, or I may pull a kid from the writing center. So they're all at different centers, and they just come to my table to do their reading group. And then when they're done, then they can go back to their center. Okay? That's a great question. All right. Any more questions? Let's see. Y'all have a lot of questions on here. I use a Google slide or PowerPoint for my center chart. Kids can look at their colored group and look at the icon to determine which center to go to. It works. Oh, that's great, Nicole. What a great idea. How do you know their seat work was completed correctly? Okay, great question. Peggy asked this question. So I trained a STAR student As the year goes on, the kids start understanding my expectations, okay? The STAR student knows if the kid is not finished with something, they know that they have to tell them, you have to finish this, okay? They have to check it. I also tell the kids to read what they just wrote to the STAR student. You're like, what? Yes, they read it to them. So let's say that they just finished their seat work. Their schema notebook was retelling beginning, middle, and end from the story that I read during my mini lesson. So they are reading their sentences. In the beginning, blah, 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 blah. They're reading what they wrote to the STAR student. Then the STAR student says, okay, great job. Now let me see your work folder. So I train them. You just have to train them. Okay? It's all about the training, all about the modeling. And I model what it looks like and what it sounds like on my smartboard too. So in my mini lesson, I have the template on my smartboard. And I'm doing an example of what it should look like. And I tell them, this is what your work should look like. And if it's blank, if it doesn't have this and this and this, the STAR student will say, I'm sorry, you need to finish. Okay? I'm just really picky about that. So I just want them to be accountable for their work. And it really teaches them to slow down. It teaches them to understand that if I slow down on my work and I do it right the first time, I don't have to redo it again. So, and that's a big thing for first graders because they do like to rush and they do like to finish fast and because they just want to go to their centers because they want to play. But since my centers are not just playing, they have to be accountable with their templates too. So they know to take more time on their work. So I hope that this helped you guys a little bit about how to start your centers at the beginning. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me anytime or post a question in the Facebook group. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I'm honored and humbled to be here with you. And I'm so delighted that you were joining me today. Please submit a question. If you have any questions, please submit it. I'll have my next webinar in another month in August. I'm excited about that. So I hope to see you guys again next time. Please add your teacher friends to our Facebook group if they're not in our group yet. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful back to school year. I know some of you are going back face to face for the first time. Good luck with all of your restrictions and guidelines. And just have fun with your kids and enjoy what you're doing. And just know that this is a support group for you if you need it. We are always here day and night to answer and support you guys if you have any problems with anything. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of the weekend. And thanks so much for joining me. And make sure you look out for my newsletter that's coming out at 6 o'clock. In about 45 minutes, it's going to come out, my second newsletter. So look for that in your email. Okay? All right, you guys have fun. I love you. Mwah. See you soon.